Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the political brown kid here, sending out a big sawubona to everyone out there. Today, I want to talk to you about the miseducation of KeKe Wyatt, miseducation of the super baby KeKe Wyatt. Let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. I told y'all, I told you so. I mean, we're gonna talk about this KeKe Wyatt thing, and I know that she's come out and since apologized, so I'll talk about that too. But I told you, white people are not going to be your only problem here in America, or really throughout the whole world, throughout the diaspora. White people are not going to be your only problem. There is a new breed, a new race of little people, babies popping up, super babies, as I like to call them, and they are going to be your next problem. I told you. I told you so. If you've been listening to me and you've been listening to my previous posts and I've talked about these super babies, you understand what I'm talking about. And for those that don't, I'll break it down for you. See, we're gonna talk about this KeKe Wyatt thing, but let me just tell you this: white people are trying to handle their racial issue, quote unquote racial issue, or at least they're trying to give the perception. They're doing a good political job, a good public relations job of making it seem like they're trying to clean up their act. You see them, they're running they're through the media, they're promoting all of this racial, interracial loving and orgies and sexually, interracially, intermingling with each other, thus creating more of these super babies that will not side with the black agenda because they're born into conflict. Our issue has never been racial. So again, with the tactic that white people are doing with all of these commercials showing interracial families with these super babies that been created by this powerful interracial couple, with these interracial TV shows showing all of these interracial interminglings. And again, I'm going to say this: when you watch these shows, you never see, at least in 2020 and going into 2021, you hardly ever see a black man with a black woman, unless you're talking about a show on TV1 or BET. But when you're talking about all of these Netflix creations, when you talk about all these Amazon Prime creations, when you talk about these HBO shows, when you talk about these mainstream television shows that are being created, they are always showing white men with black women, because the white man has always had a taste and desire for black women because he was raping them in slavery, and he now he gets to have them via writing them into a script. I watch American Gods. I'm gonna tell you that's probably the most horrible show that you can ever watch, as far as when you talking about promoting bed wenching and um, pretty much, I'm not gonna call it raping because they're writing it into the script, and these black women are willfully playing these roles where they're sexing white men. But that has never been your problem. You have not seen it. So you see the destruction of the black unit on television because you don't see black men and black women lusting after one another, loving or desiring one another in television shows or mainstream productions, or not even in commercials, not even in 30-second commercials. And I got a video to prove that and break that down for y'all. So when you start seeing this and you just start seeing that typically black women are dominating the screen, and anytime you see a black man, he's with a white woman, you have this breakdown. So white people are, that's how they're solving their racial issue. They're saying, see, look, we're promoting. And what it's probably doing for white people, it's normalizing seeing black and whites together. It's normalizing seeing interracial children. But what is it doing for black people? What it's doing for black people is telling you that you need to be with somebody outside of your race in order to make it, in order to be happy. Because you're not seeing any positive role models that look like you married to another person that looks like you. So that's what you're seeing. And then thus the super baby's born. And so for all those people out there who are like, what is he talking about, super baby? Well, you haven't been listening to my post. My post is this: a super baby is basically the love child between two people of a different race, specifically black people and white people, because you do not hear You do not see any resolutions from white people trying to say, okay, well, we need to solve our Indian problem. So let's show a white man and an Indian woman getting it on. Whether it's dots or feathers, Indians, Native, Indigenous Americans, or whether it's Indians, you don't see them trying to do that. You don't see them saying, okay, well, let's show this Asian woman with this white man and how there's this conflict to see if the baby's Asian or white. You don't see that. The only people that they do this stuff with is with black women and white men. And now they're farming the black woman out to Asian men because they got a movie coming out called Boogie. It's about an Asian basketball player. Netflix has this horrible movie again called what is it? Wahalo Namaste or Mahalo Namaste, Wahala Namaste, about an Indian man again getting it on with a black woman, and how to interracial, how to breed the cultures together. You never see a black woman with a black man. They're not doing it. If it is, it's a low budget production. And so thus, getting back to white men and black women, or talking about Superbabies, the Superbaby is an offspring between an interracial couple, specifically a black person and a white person. And that baby, it comes out, they're looking at these Superbabies as being the savior of, race relations, because this baby's going to come out and it's going to be, and I'm going to tell you like this, the baby's coming out black because black genes are just dominant genes. There's no other way to say it. I'm not trying to put white people down and say we're superior, but that is just a fact. It is a fact that the black genes is just more dominant. Specifically, if you have a purebred black. Most African Americans aren't purebred, but that baby still comes out black. And that's just a fact. I'm not giving you anything and I'm not trying to say that we're racially or genetically superior. I'm just trying to say, as far as a gene mixing with another gene, that's just how it is. It has nothing to do with saying we're more intelligent. I'm not saying we're more strong. I'm not saying anything like that. The only thing I'm saying is that the black gene is just more dominant, and that baby's more than less likely going to come out to be black. Unless your blackness is severely diluted, and you're not even, you've had dilution of your blackness throughout, your generations. But these super babies come out, they're interracial babies, and these babies are supposed to be the savior of humanity through their super babiness, through their biracialness. And then also this baby is so beautiful because it passes the brown paper bag test for black people, but it passes the suntan test for white people, the sun kiss test for white people. Because, white people are always trying to tan to get browner. Not all white people, but they like to tan to get, some color into their skin. But so it's the perfect mix, this little baby. It comes out not too dark, not too light. The baby comes out, the hair is not too kinky, but it's not too straight, but it's straight enough that it doesn't need a perm. And then it comes out and it has the nice full lips of a black person, and it has the nice hips and buttocks of a black person. But yet the nose is thin, and they may have blue eyes or green eyes of a European person. So it's the perfect mix. That's what they're looking at this as. Oh, these babies are so beautiful. That's what it's a beautiful interracial couple. That's what everybody's saying. Like, they have never seen an interracial couple before in their life. But this is the super baby. But the problem with super babies is this. These super babies are born into conflict. These super babies, they don't really know who they are. And they're really not siding. If you look at it lately, and we're going to talk about KeKe Wyatt, I'm going to get into her. If you look at it, they really don't side with black people lately. Look at Shamar Moore. Shamar Moore said, I'm not getting into this fight. My mom is white. And so if I get into this fight and start bashing white people, then I'm disrespecting my mama. So I'm not going to do it. He did that in an interview. I'm paraphrasing here. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but that was his stance. He's like, I'm black. I know I'm black, but but my mama's white. And so, hey, it is what it is. And, he takes that approach. If you ever seen Dwayne Johnson, and Dwayne Johnson isn't even white. He's black and Samoan, but you don't see him getting into any fight. You just don't see it. You don't see it. Jason Tatum, you don't hear from him. You don't hear from what's that big tall boy that he also plays basketball. Big center, big tall center guy. I forget his name right now, but he tried to jump over a Kia, I think, in a damn NBA All-Star game. You don't hear none of these people coming out saying anything. Patrick Mahomes, you do not. He told you he loves white women. And then, in order to do public PR, I saw him one time do an interview talk about, yeah, I'm black. I'm proud to be black. No, you're not. No, you're not. You don't even act black. Travis Kelce act blacker than you. And he running around with a black girl. But this is what I'm saying. You look at all of these people, they're not dating black. They don't associate with black. And then the other thing too now is when it comes to political issues, they're not siding with you. They're basically talking about stop crying, stop complaining. That's what the Superbabies are doing. They're not siding with you. They're just not. And KeKe Wyatt's a prime example. Now, the only kryptonite that you have against the Superbaby, if one ever attacks you, if you ever get attacked by a Superbaby, all you have to do is just change the conversation and say, well, what are you? Because that's their only kryptonite, is that they do not really know who they are. Again, they'll start stammering. Hey, look at Kamala Harris. She started stammering when they asked her the question. She wouldn't even say what she was. That's the only kryptonite that they have. They really don't know who they are. Like, am I black? Am I white? So and KeKe Wyatt did the same thing. She said, hell, I'm just a female. I know that. I know I'm a female 100%. The other part, I'm not really sure. That's basically, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what she said. If you go back and listen to what she said, at least I read the transcript. I didn't hear the interview. I read the transcript. So this KeKe Wyatt thing, I've rambled on for 12 minutes. Let's talk about this KeKe Wyatt thing. Just for all those out there who are not familiar with it, apparently she had an interview, and I'm assuming that the guy interviewing her was a black man. I think it was a male. And I guess he thought he had a sister in front of him because he's looking at her. He's like, damn, you look, yeah, you a sister. He looking dead at, I've looked at her. KeKe Wyatt is black as hell. Looked at him. And so he started, I guess he felt comfortable to say, hey, this sister's going to agree with me when I start talking about white people. And he started talking about how, black people have suffered, and, he starts getting into that type of stuff. And KeKe Wyatt said, hold up now. Black people are not the only race on this planet that has suffered. Basically, I'm tired of hearing about how black people have suffered. Everybody has suffered. And so she's basically going into her, what is it, Simeon Paul, or whatever his name is, the disciple who denied Jesus 3 times. She's going into that act, basically. Like, hey, you guys have not suffered. I'm tired of hearing about black suffering. And so she starts denying, the atrocities done to black people. And then she starts getting madder and madder and madder as the interview goes on. And then she says, hold up now, you about to bring out the N-word in me. Hold up my N-word. So she calls him my N-word, my Negro. I'll say it that way, but she used the harsher form. You about to bring out the N-word in me. So again, I guess because she's only partially black, she had suppressed her inside, her Negro side, but now it's being invoked and it's coming up. It's rising up out of her. So then she starts going off, and I guess she gets very antagonistic, and then she starts talking about the fact that she's only 25% black. I'm not even black. Basically, that's what she's saying. I'm only 25% black. Well, if you're 25% black, how come you're able to throw around the N-word so much? See, again, that's another benefit of being a Superbaby. When you're a Superbaby, when you're a biracial Superbaby, you get to play black roles and white roles. Look at Quincy Jones' daughter. She don't know what the hell she wants. She ain't even admitted that she was black until what? Until that show Blackish came out. Then she started openly playing a black one. Other than that, she plays a white woman on television. I don't make this stuff up. Her sister Kidada, she acts black. She claims she's black, but Rashida don't act black. I'm surprised she didn't change her damn name to Rachel or something that was more European. But she's always played a white woman on television. And that's the thing with these super babies. They get to go back and forth. 1 minute, if they want if they see an opportunity, if they get an opportunity to play a black role, they do it. And then if they get an opportunity to play a white role, they do it. Or in life, in their private life, if when they want to hang around white people and they go do that and they act off and they pass as white. But then when they get around us, then they start throwing around the N-word and start, acting a fool. Because they think that that's how black people act 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in every socioeconomic bracket. This is just the truth. I'm not making this stuff up. So my thing is, if you're only 25% black, how come we haven't labeled you as a racist? And how come you haven't issued an apology for using the N-word? That's just one other question that I have for her. One other. And then she went off to talk about how her parents were ridiculed. Her father was called a sellout for marrying a white woman. And how when she was growing up, she wasn't considered black enough. She didn't really feel like she fit in. She wasn't black enough. And she's mentioned that on her Unsung. She did an Unsung. If I know y'all white people, y'all don't watch our TV shows, which y'all should be watching to support black television. The TV1 has a great episode called Unsung. I think she was on Unsung. She was on one of them on TV1. And she was in the studio with her husband, whom her husband is black. She got in the studio talking about she wanted to make, some country western type music because her white side wants to make that. And this is what she's saying. So again, now her white side's coming out and she wants to make a certain type of music. But all the while she's been making black music, so she gets to do that. But again, she says about she didn't feel black enough growing up. Okay, I get that, KeKe, and I'm not taking away your experience because trust me, you know us. Black people come in all flavors. We come in the lightest of the light. We come in the darkest of the dark. So I'm not taking away KeKe's experience from that because as kids are just some hurtful creatures. I can tell y'all, my nephew, my sister told me just a quick story. My sister told me how one of my nephews, he was in the, my aunt was actually with my 70-something-year-old aunt was with my sister. They took my nephew to a department store, and my nephew walked up to a little person. I guess you have to call them little people now. I don't know when the M-word became banned, but it is. And he walked up to one and said, and started laughing in her face and said, "This one has a little mama and I have a big mama." And just started laughing. And, and then my aunt said she just walked away. And left my sister to have to go ahead and deal with that and go ahead and get her. But my aunt said she walked away. Then my other nephew got taken to my sister's job and he caught some lady. He told her she looked like Shrek. I guess it was a heavy-set lady with a big nose, and he said she looked like Shrek. But in school, and I'm pretty sure white people, you all go through this too, but I'm not going to speak on your stuff. I'm only going to speak on my experience because I can't validate or verify your stuff. Only you can validate this. But growing up, kids are just cruel. Kids fight other kids. Kids bully other kids. I've bullied kids. They would call it bullying back in the day. I didn't run around like maliciously trying to bully people, but there were just times when just as a kid, you just be a troll. You just look at another kid and y'all just start joning. And for the most part, I never initiated a lot of jones because I've got a lot of physical, things that people could point out that I just didn't get involved in joning. But if somebody joned on me, I joned back. But I did tease one of my other friends, a good friend of mine, because he acted sweet. He's grown up to be gay, but we've teased him as kids. Now, when you get to high school, that stopped. As you get to 8th grade, you realize that, you can't. 8th, 9th grade, you realize the stuff that you did when you were in 3rd and 4th was just stupid. But I'm owning up to my thing. But as a kid, you tease other kids. Kids tease me about physical features that I had. We've teased other kids about how dark they were, how light they were, how short they were, how fat they were, how big their nose was, how big their lips was, how big their eyes were. It's what kids do. And trust me, I've received a lot of Jones on the way that I've looked. Kids just, turn it on. Kids are cruel, KeKe. And you know that, and I'm pretty sure, but it seems as though you've been traumatized by that. And I'm not taking away your experience, but you say that you feel not black enough. Well, what about those kids that growing up, and KeKe, I'm pretty sure you know this because you come from a black, I'm assuming you grew up around black people. What about those kids that felt too black, too dark? I knew a girl that was like I said, when I was in elementary school, and trust me, we went to Catholic school. I grew up middle class, upper middle class all my life, Catholic schools all my life. And it's what we did. We joined on each other. And in all black area, dark skin. This girl was very dark, and she was very pretty, very pretty. But because back in those days she was dark, people teased her just from that. So what about those kids that feel too dark, KeKe? I get it. Those kids that feel too light. We had one of my best friends. He was light skinned with blonde hair, blonde hair and blue eyes. I swear to God, black as hell. Will shoot you and go home and eat a box of Cocoa Puffs or drink some Kool-Aid. I'm telling you. I shouldn't say kid you, but I've heard some stories about him. I've heard stories about him. Just going hard. The 80s in DC was a spectacular time. It was a spectacular time. We were middle class, but there were some people who did some gangstalicious stuff, but I've heard a lot of stories about him. And I'm not surprised. But yeah, they used to call him albino. They used to call him albino, and you could see it on his face like he felt some kind of way about it. But I never did it because I knew that little joke was crazy. I never did it. But that's the only point that I'm trying to make here is that kids tease each other. But I know that KeKe's come back and issued an apology. Now let's talk about this apology. She's come back now and she's admitted and acknowledged that she's black and that she said some things. But my thing is the things that she said, and I get it. Okay, so she's apologized. I mean, y'all can take apologies with a grain of salt, as I do. I mean, okay, you've apologized, but my thing is you shouldn't apologize for the way that you feel. If that's the way that you feel, if that's how you really feel, you shouldn't apologize for it, KeKe. Don't come back and backtrack. I don't know if you're trying to apologize to save your black R&B career, which I don't know if you made music. I know you're making babies because you got like 10 of them jokers. And I'm not being disrespectful, but she has a lot of kids. Pretty sure she's a fantastic mother. I hope she's in a fantastic relationship. I love seeing black people in love. Love it. But, I don't know what career. Maybe she's, like those groups, they still torn. But, I just haven't heard new music from KeKe. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying I haven't heard new music from her. So I don't know, but maybe she's still torn and doing other stuff. But I'm just wondering, was the apology to save your career? What are you apologizing for? Because a lot of times people apologize. And I mean, I can understand apologizing because like a lot of times me and my wife get in arguments and I'll be like, okay, I'll apologize for the way that I said it, but I'm not going to apologize for what I said. That's what I tell my wife. And a lot of times she finds that offensive. But my thing is, if I feel that way, that's the way I feel. And I shouldn't have to apologize for feeling some type of way that you just don't like. So my thing is, KeKe, if that's the way you feel, that black people ain't the only people that suffered, and that you ain't really black, you only 25% black, so you don't really consider yourself, if that's the way you feel, then feel that way. But you can't, but being black is not a convenient thing. It's not a thing that you can say, I'm black and I'm not black. I mean, damn, I'm starting to believe that Rachel Dolezal is blacker than a lot of black jokers walking these streets. Because she going through it and she's still sticking by her story. The average white person would have been gave that up and gone back to white world. But she's at least riding for us more than we ride for ourselves. But if you feel that way, feel that way. But also too, I'll say this, KeKe, is, I'm sorry for your experience. Well, I'm not sorry because I'm not a sorry person, but I feel for you that you've gone through what you've gone through in life and that it's traumatized you for this long. I'm not taking away from your experience because your experience was what it was and you felt how you felt. So, and also don't apologize. If that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. It's very unfortunate. I'll say it's unfortunate, but my thing is don't apologize for something that's the way you felt. I will say this though, it's very unfortunate if that's the way you feel and you're going to stick by that story. And if you can't see it from the other side, that yeah, you may not have felt black enough, but there's a lot of us out here that feel too black. We don't get to walk around. There's a lot of young black girls out here who are dying, literally dying, to bleach their skin or to perm their hair, trying to look like you, KeKe, with light skin and hair that is straighter. There are girls out here that's dying to do black girls that feel too black. So just look at it from both sides of the coin. That's all I'm trying to get you to do. But I'm telling you, these super babies, I'll end it on this. We don't get this problem under control, y'all are going to have a Rwanda genocide in America, a Rwanda type genocide in America between black people and biracial. It's going to be a colorism because this colorism thing has gone on for eons. And it doesn't seem like it's getting better. So, political brown kid, I'm going to get out of here. I hope y'all have a good day. KeKe, I hope you have a fantastic day. And everybody out there, be safe, love one another. Black people love one another. Black love matters. You matter. You matter to me. All of you black people, from the lightest, to the darkest to the dark, you all matter to me. That's why I do this. I don't do this, but I'm putting myself on the line. So stay safe out there. Love you all. Be easy.